Being at McDonald's, he looks much more like Ronald McDonald than the clown that he actually is.
It is what I would use, and here's the thing that the Democrats have to figure out. Donald Trump's language around this, he's not wrong.
When we're the ones saying, not on our watch, not on our watch.
Have you ever seen Donald Trump at a complete loss for words? Minnesota Governor Tim Walz just delivered what folks are calling a truth tornado that left Trump staring like a deer in headlights. In this video, we're breaking down the exact moment Trump's usual word salad dried up when Walz dropped facts about how Trump's trade wars crushed Midwest farmers while he was busy taking credit for inventing jobs. Trust me, this is the political face-off you didn't know you needed to see. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Ever wonder what happens when Trump's fantasy world collides with cold, hard facts? Well, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz just gave us a front row seat to that spectacular crash, and let me tell you, it wasn't a pretty sight for the Orange Man.
That's the dog and pony show tonight. He's not going to lay out anything that improves the lives of Minnesotans, but he fills the space. It defies logic, but look, I think this is how he ran business. He stiffed contractors.
Trump's been doing his usual tour around the country. You know the one, where he claims he personally sprinkled magic job dust across America, single-handedly rescued the economy from certain doom, and practically hung the moon during his spare time. Classic Trump living in his own reality where he's always the hero and everyone else is either incompetent or out to get him.
Not enough Americans believe that we as Democrats, or Vice President Harris and myself, were on their side, and we are. He stiffed workers, he doesn't pay his bills, he declares bankruptcy.
But then came the showdown that nobody expected. Governor Walz stepped up to the mic and did something Trump wasn't prepared for. He brought receipts. Real ones. Not the kind Trump scribbles on a McDonald's napkin after his third Diet Coke of the morning. What happened next was like watching someone slowly deflate. Trump's famous word salad, that endless stream of consciousness that jumps from topic to topic faster than he fires White House staff, suddenly dried up. The man who never stops talking found himself with nothing to say. Walz went straight for the economic jugular, confronting Trump about his disastrous trade wars that devastated Midwest farmers. These aren't just theoretical policy disagreements.
Policies are popular, but that didn't resonate. And he's going to come out there tonight and he's going to get cheers from a bunch of lapdogs that'll kiss his boot. The one thing is, his claim that he's the business president, he is the worst possible business executive that I have ever witnessed.
These are real people with dirt under their fingernails who watched their livelihoods crumble while Trump was busy tweeting. The same heartland farmers Trump claims to champion actually suffered massive financial damage because of his impulsive policies. The brutal reality check continued as Walz methodically dismantled Trump's self-proclaimed economic genius persona. Beyond agriculture, Walz pointed out how Trump's administration slashed funding for critical services that everyday Americans depend on. Law enforcement, you know, the people Trump claims to support more than anyone ever in history, saw their budgets cut. Schools trying to educate the next generation, cut. Childcare for working families, cut. Veterans who served their country, cut. Healthcare during a global pandemic, you guessed it, cut.
He has no idea how these work. He has no idea how any of this works. I guarantee you, there weren't a lot of parents that went into the voting booth, individual children that it will have, but it will undermine our ability both from innovation in this country to economic.
All this was happening while Trump was busy perfecting his golf swing and telling everyone how incredible he is. It's like he was living in some alternate universe where cutting essential services somehow makes America great again. Trump tried pulling his usual trick of blaming everyone else. Obama, Hillary, the mailman, whoever. But Walz wasn't having any of it. He kept bringing the conversation back to reality with specific examples of how Trump's policies hurt real Americans. And that's what makes this so different from the usual political back and forth.
Entire professional careers, and it's no wonder they're both socialists. They're actually beyond socialists. I think they skipped over socialists.
And voted to have their schools undermined. The impact that the move that's being made will have, the detrimental impact on children.
This wasn't about scoring partisan points. It was about exposing the gap between Trump's words and his actions. The most delicious moment came when Walz quoted actual workers talking about Trump's policies, not the fantasy workers Trump invents in his speeches, who supposedly thank him with tears in their eyes. Real union workers who've called his economic approach damaging to their livelihoods. That's gotta sting when you're trying to convince people you're their champion.
Put these guys up like they're sometimes the heroes. Everybody in this room knows, I know it as a teacher, a bully has no self-confidence.
That restaurant wasn't even open. It was a stunt. Fake orders for fake customers.
These tariffs are needed to bring American manufacturing back and to help American workers left behind in places like Minnesota. He has support.
Tell me you don't see this one coming from a mile away. And Ronald wears less makeup. You saw it coming. You saw it coming.
You could almost see Trump's spray tan melting off his face as Walz systematically dismantled every economic fairy tale Trump has been telling. It's one thing to exaggerate or spin the facts. All politicians do that to some degree, but it's another thing entirely to create an entirely fictional economic record and expect nobody to notice. What makes this so satisfying is that Walz didn't need to resort to insults or theatrics. He simply laid out the facts in his straightforward Midwestern way. It turns out that's Trump's kryptonite, someone who calmly states reality without getting dragged into his chaos.
From the UAW. The UAW called his auto tariffs, quote, a long overdue shift away from a harmful economic framework that has devastated the working class. It signals
Being at McDonald's, he looks much more like Ronald McDonald than the clown that he actually is.
It is what I would use, and here's the thing that the Democrats have to figure out. Donald Trump's language around this, he's not wrong.
When we're the ones saying, not on our watch, not on our watch.
By the time the dust settled, Trump's usual comeback machine had completely broken down. When you can't just make stuff up anymore because someone's right there with the actual facts, there's not much left to say. The emperor had no clothes, and everyone was finally pointing it out. What we just witnessed was Trump's reality distortion field experiencing a total system failure.
That we've had manufacturing gutted. He's not wrong that we saw an outshoring. People of my generation were told, you know, there aren't going to be any manufacturing jobs.
Should be full of the people who fly the don't tread on me flags, because Trump wants to tread all over your personal freedoms.
The problem is Donald Trump's solution to this is not the solution. Now, UAW is right. Certain tariffs, if they're on to steel or if they're targeted correctly.
For years, he's been living in his own little fantasy world where facts bend to his will like silly putty. But Walz brought kryptonite to that Superman delusion, actual verifiable information. Ouch! The beauty of this moment wasn't just seeing Trump's fairy tale castle crumble. It was realizing how simple the solution really is. When confronted with cold, hard evidence, Trump's myth-making machine just stopped working. So here's your political life hack. Facts are Trump's kryptonite. Who would have thought the most powerful weapon against America's greatest con man was just the truth?